to why did you want to be a filmmaker? And when did you get started with filmmaking?
Well, the funny thing is, I always loved stories. I was a ferocious reader, as luck would have it. I was actually a late reader. I really did start really just kind of reading as I should until around 9 years old, and I just picked up Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire. I think that was my first book that I just read all the way through, and I didn't stop, and I would just pick an author and just read everything that they'd written and just pick another author, and I still pretty much do that. And I think with that kind of opened up my world to stories and characters and multiple lives, and my dad was a great storyteller, so I was a little hesitant to get into the performance arts when I was in high school. I was a pretty studious little kid, and that seemed kind of so far afield. But when I got to college, the College of William and Mary, I think when I first got there, the first week they were auditioning for a show, and I auditioned and I got in, and I think from there that really shaped my college life, and I really love the theater. I love performing, and I was also in the dance company there. But I realized, like, wow, I really want to not just have it for a theater run. I'm selfish that way. I really wanted the stories to live on, and I had taken a year off and was working here and there, and I decided I wanted to go back to grad school and go into film and just kind of take that leap and take everything, all the stories I've loved growing up, and applying all of my theater discipline and training to film. It just seemed like the logical step, and it was really helpful, especially in film school and directing, because I had all the fundamentals studying theater for those years. So it just seemed like a natural progression. Back when I was in film school, we were actually shooting on film, and it got to be very expensive. I love doing it because you can't waste anything. So I got to be really good at just making sure I was very clear on what the shots I wanted, who I wanted, and making sure everything was highly organized so that I could get what I needed on a very limited, strict budget, which also served me very well. So I just always, I guess, going back to your story, it's like I think I don't know what else I would have done if I wasn't making movies. I toy a little bit with psychiatry, but then I don't know, when you get to the point when you're reading about things that are wrong, I'm like, oh, I can't read this. I think I'm all these symptoms. I think I'm gonna go back to film. I'm gonna diagnose myself. So why don't I just go back? Get out of the psychiatry. But yeah, that's I do that. That wasn't my past, but I toyed with it for a little bit. Yeah.
So you had gone to Howard and received your MFA.
Yes.
And your thesis film was Hard Candy. What was Hard Candy about?
Hard Candy was about a young girl who had been dealt very harshly with life, and she was in an environment. Her family wasn't very supportive, and she found solace in reading. And she meets this man who's kind of a gardener at her school, takes a liking to her, and she puts her trust in him, and he ends up not being exactly what he was supposed to be for her, and so she kind of had to kind of fend for herself. But I also like toying with the kind of delusion of reality of how you got to go internally to find solace and to combat the harsh reality. So really, it was really her journey. Back then, I was all really interested in the African American, female stories. There weren't a lot there, and Howard was really great at allowing me to explore that avenue. And so I was grateful for them to kind of allowing me to find that voice without having to justify it, and giving me the space within those years to do it. I realized when I was going to make my thesis, I was going to do a film, because that's what you're in film school for. for, and I'm very grateful because I had to do it from beginning to end. I mean, there wasn't. I mean, my class was there to help, fill those roles of camera person and sound and AD and all those great things. But the management and the kind of bringing that story to life was really up to the individual filmmaker, and you really learned all the jobs, and it's really served me well. It still serves me well that I understand fully and deeply everyone's job on that set from beginning, to end.
So everyone has a niche, and everyone has a favorite genre that they write in. What is yours?